Do you know where the Romans went on the other side of the world? What shows how far and wide Roman traders and explorers traveled? Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. Today's video is about the most distant places visited by Romans. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel if you're curious, as we have more to reveal. A small group of foreigners was received in the Imperial Palace at Luoyang in the 9th year of the Yanxi Era, which was also the 20th year of Han Huan's reign, as the 27th emperor of the Han Dynasty. They told that they have come from a great western country ruled by an emperor named Marcus Aurelius, that was as large and powerful as the Middle Kingdom itself, despite the fact that the gifts they carried were not particularly impressive, consisting of elephant tusks, rhinoceros horns, and turtle shells. Nobody knows who these people were or why they traveled such a vast distance because we have no information about them. The fact that they made it all the way to the court of the Chinese emperor, on the other hand, demonstrates the vast range and reach of Roman traders and explorers. What did the Roman Empire expand beyond? As many of us know, Roman Empire did expand beyond these bounds, and at times it stretched quite far. Nevertheless, this expansion was accomplished at times through occupation, and at other times it was accomplished through military actions. There are normally not many notable Roman ruins to be observed in these places today, because these were frontier regions that were either extremely underdeveloped, or were only occupied for a brief length of time. The Red Sea, the Pharisan Islands. Who added the Pharisan Islands to its territory? Who has had one of the biggest effects on this island? The Red Sea is home to a small group of coral islands called the Pharisan Islands. People call them by that name. Since then, Saudi Arabia has added these islands to its territory. They are in the southern part of the Red Sea, close to the countries of Yemen and Eritrea. They are not too far away from Saudi Arabia's coast. People say that the islands have some of the oldest histories in the kingdom, which may be why so many people go there. People also know the islands for their beautiful marine life and clean beaches. These islands are known for a lot of things, but the Roman influence there is one of the most important. A Latin wording found on the Pharisan Islands in the year 144 AD says that the Romans called the islands Portus Pharsanus and set up a platoon there in the 1st century AD named Alcasar, which is the name of an old town that used to be on these islands, is also in ruins. Sandstone, mud, and coral were used to build its buildings. It has 400 homes and 5 streets. And it is thought to be one of the oldest villages on the islands. People have lived there since Roman times. After being fixed up, it is now both a place for tourists to visit and a home for the people who choose to live there. In the 1st century AD, these small islands were called Portus Pharsanus. They may have been where the Roman platoon that was the farthest from Rome was located. This idea comes from the fact that these islands are thought to have been where the Roman platoon was. A Latin wording that could be read and was dated to 144 AD shows that the Romans had a platoon on these islands at some point in Roman history. Before it became part of the province of Aegyptus, the island was likely governed by the Roman province of Arabia Felix. But it was moved to the province of Aegyptus later. At this point in time, they are about 3,900 years away from Rome. Today, these islands are popular vacation spots, and people can use the free ferry service that runs twice a day from Jizan port in Saudi Arabia to get there. Passengers can use this service twice a day. Britain, Scotland and the Scottish Highlands. Several times in the history of Scotland, the whole southern part of the country was part of the Roman Empire, and Roman military expeditions went much farther into the country's interior than they ever had before. The Romans built both Hadrian's Wall and the Antonine Wall. Hadrian's Wall runs the length of Britain, and the Antonine Wall is in the middle of Scotland. They didn't want to build just one wall. The Romans built a network of supply forts, roads, and fortlets along the paths that led to the new border line in Scotland's Fourth Clyde Isthmus. They also had military operations as far north as the Moray Firth in the Highlands, and a Roman fleet made it as far north as the Orkney Islands, which are off the coast of northern Scotland. These two places are both in Scotland. But they decided more than once that it would be smarter to move back to Hadrian's Wall in England than to keep up this northern barrier. You may be thinking about why Scotland wasn't a top priority for the Romans. Scotland probably wasn't a top priority for the Romans because it was too hard to control, too far away, and not important enough for them to try to take it over. Without a doubt, the Antonine Wall is the most important Roman ruin that can be found in Scotland right now. The Caucasus, Armenia. Which ancient nation did the double duty of client state and border state? Alexander the Great had completed his invasion of the area by the year 330 BC, bringing it under the sway of so-called the Western civilization. Despite this, the region would continue to serve as a buffer right up until the present day. After Alexander's death, which occurred not long after the completion of the conquest, Armenia came under the control of Alexander's general, Seleucus I, as well as the Seleucid dynasty of Syria, which succeeded it. It was during this time that the Roman Empire was expanding its authority in the Mediterranean that the Armenians first made contact with the expanding Roman Empire. At the Battle of Magnesia, which took place in 190 BC, the Romans triumphed over the Seleucids under the leadership of Antiochus III and his expansionist operations. Even though Armenia had been essentially independent for a considerable amount of time and had established a local kingdom under the Artaxerxes in 189 BC, conflict with the Romans as they advanced eastward seemed unavoidable. The ancient state of Greater Armenia served as both a client state and a border state at various points in its history. It was entangled with the age-old conflict that existed between the mighty Parthians and the Romans. The Temple of Garni in Armenia, which was apparently devoted to the sun god Mir, is an outstanding example of Roman architecture and may now be visited by tourists. But more than anything else, this temple was a gift to the Armenians, and Roman architects and others were sent to build it for them. The Parthian Empire finally fell apart between the years 114 and 117 AD, and it was during this small time frame that it appears that portions of what is now Armenia were integrated into the Roman Empire. Archaeologists have uncovered the Roman aqueduct that is the furthest east. Unfinished and most likely dating back to the 2nd century, when the Romans briefly controlled Armenia and had control over the city of Artaxata, the aqueduct was probably built during that time. Iraq down to Kuwait and Iran. After the Parthian Empire was destroyed, everything was different. During Roman history, the eastern edge of the empire was about where the border between Iraq and Turkey is now. Still, everything was different after that empire fell. In the years 116 and 117 CE, when Trajan was emperor, the Romans took control of the area of Mesopotamia. Even though this was the case, the province did not last very long. Trajan won his war against the Parthian Empire, and as a result, he was able to take control of Armenia. His plans to march the whole way worked, and he eventually took control of the beautiful Persian city of Susa. Along the way, he got rid of the Parthian king Osroes I. They used navigation skills to get all the way down the river until they reached the Gulf of Oman. But when he died in 117, his successor, Emperor Hadrian, decided to give up the land he had taken east of the Euphrates River. They were just too far away for them to either get close to them or defend ourselves against them. The Romans would never be able to go to the Persian Gulf again, it was decided. So, what do you think of the video? Let us know in the comment below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it and hit that subscribe button before you go. Thanks for watching.